there are games you play, and then I think there are games that become a part of your life in weird ways that you didn't expect. And whether you're logging on after work as like a just another part of your ritual, you're hearing the music of the game and it just feels like another day in your life, and it's just like it's ingrained in your DNA. Whether it's a raid night with friends and you're like, hey, okay, today's Friday night or whatever it may be, or there's like a launch of the next part of this game that comes out and you're like, okay, I'm taking a day off work, I'm making all weekend around it, planning my whole, like, this is going to be my thing for the week. And I think hearing Destiny may finally be slowing down now with the recent news, it felt personal in a very way, in a weird way that I wasn't expecting. And I went down a rabbit hole, kind of just reflecting on not necessarily like any specific aspect of the game outright. Like I wasn't looking like at the, oh well, they did this mechanic and this feature and these new classes, but everything that came to my mind when I heard the news recently of what Bungie's prioritizing and sunsetting, kind of like putting Destiny on maintenance essentially, starting this coming June. Everything that came to mind was what just memories of my life. I remember I got my PS4. I remember deciding to get a PS4 because I was looking for something sci-fi, and I was looking for an online game of some kind, and I'd been in the PlayStation 3 ecosystem, and I bought it. I was late to the game for PS4, and when I did, I was like, oh, what do I want to play? And I was looking, I'm like, okay, well, what's the closest thing to Halo on PlayStation? And I found out someone had recommended Destiny, and I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. And I think it had been out for 2 expansions. Or 2 of their DLCs, not expansions. It was before Taken King. It was the summer before Taken King. And I remember starting that up, and it was like right before Moments of Triumph have become a thing, and which is, I'm going to be speaking a lot of Destiny language for those, but I'll try my best to explain some of it because I'm sure there's parallels to games you may have experienced in a similar way. But Moments of Triumph was like an annual event that Destiny would do where, hey, we're going to give you something to chase, and it's a celebration of everything that we've done up until this point. So like, go and if you haven't done a raid before, you do one raid. If you haven't done this before, do one of these. And I was like, well, I've never done these things, but maybe this will be a fun thing to chase. And like, it kind of, I liked it. Like something about it like hooked me. I'm like, ooh, I want to see if I can do it. I want to see if I can try. And I didn't have any friends that were playing it. It's such a Destiny's very like a first-person shooter, MMO-esque. It's always been at odds with itself over its years of that. But I was chasing that all summer. And I remember that like led to like Prisoners of, was it Prison of Elders? I'm maybe misremembering some of the names, but I remember Skolas, and it was like, oh, if you didn't have Gallahorn, you wouldn't be allowed to join groups. So I was like, oh, what do? I got to find a group, and this is a very hard activity, and like the sense of achievement just from the game. But then I remember where it was. That was like I just moved to my new apartment. I had just had my first job out of college, and chasing that, and then I remember like me getting into it more, got 1 or 2 of my friends into it, and we're like, okay, let's play this game. So then having all the memories of weekends playing with my friends on some of the more PvP side of the game. I remember having many nights where, you know, I was just chilling, and it became a space of comfort. Just trying to comfort in the sense of like, I would just, I don't know, I had a rough day at work, or I wanted to decompress, or I just wanted to just disconnect in whatever way, or catch up with some friends and sometimes I'd put a show on, or like listen to a podcast and just go through strikes and just kind of be like, oh, I'm, you know, grinding stuff, but I'm listening to this audiobook or this podcast. And then I put all that together in a timeline, and I remember just saying, this game has been like quietly existing in my life for years, for so many years of my life. I you know, back, when was it, like 2013, 2014 maybe, sometime around then. till now. Like I'd say like 2 years ago is when I kind of stopped playing fully, or more as regularly as I used to. I've popped in here and there for like the new expansion, but in that time I've gone through my first job, my second job. I've been through 2+ relationships. I've gone through grad school. Like so much of my life, I can like line up certain activities of the game with all these different points of my life. I'm like, holy crap! Like this game is so much a part of that with me, in distinct ways and in indistinct ways. Like sometimes it's less so, and like I this video isn't so much a mourning of that game, in its out in its fullest, but like so many people have games like this, right? Like I always thought like this was how people felt with WoW. Every time I heard people tell stories of World of Warcraft and the memories they've made, the friends they had, the betrayals, the sad moments, the happy moments, the parts of their life that it was, the hours they'd spent, for better or worse, or Final Fantasy 14, or Stardew Valley, or so many games that you can just exist in and just have a third place, and like what that means to have a third place. And like I finally felt that click for me of like this place has been my third place for so long. And I've had variations to it. I feel like most recently, most people would probably relate to like like when we were in quarantine and COVID kind of hit, and where people were at with our lives in all different respects, and how games like Animal Crossing, games like Among Us, where they just played it to just bond over COVID. It stops. It's not like a game you would always log on for progress. You would go on to hang out, to decompress, to challenge, to be silly. I would be in the tower in this game and just dance and emote with people, and how much of that it can be. It's like, I don't know. This isn't a new thing, but it's so much, I think, a constant thing, and again, right now, a relevant thing with this game specifically. But like Destiny did it so well, like, and I can't speak to those other games as well, but like so much of what Destiny made Destiny for me so good was like, again, I went to it because I was looking for a Halo like, but it ended up becoming so much more when I came in. I was like, what is the lore of this? It wasn't even clear what the lore was, but there is a lore, and it's ambiguous and weird and kind of put together, and something about that was like ugly and uncomfortable and patchworked, and like that was intriguing to me, because it's not perfect, it's not flawless, but there is like potential, and they're writing it with you as the fan, kind of going through it and seeing it come to life, like Taken King, being there for that launch and going forward with that. And like I have a history with first person shooters, and it being like an MMO, but in like the shooter sense, was so cool to see. Being able to like, I had some just natural inclinations to just, hey, I can enjoy this and cruise with it, whether it be in PvE or like the Iron Banner became such a fun weekend activity, for me. I'm like, oh shit, this week's Iron Banner week, I want to get my armors. And the raid challenges, I've never done raids, I never knew what a raid was, and like I was so always like timid and shy to like, I didn't have a group to play that with, and it got me to take my friends with me to do some activities, but to do a raid you needed a full party of like 6 people, and I just would find groups, and I kind of got out of my comfort zone, just going on LFG sites trying to find like, hey, anyone looking for someone, and then be like, okay, don't be the screw up, don't screw up. Okay, I'm entering a social space where everyone's like, you need to perform, and then you end up kind of vibing with some of them. Like I know experiences can vary, like you can have toxic experiences, and I just would mute people and disconnect or whatever. I had a pretty good practice of knowing when to like back out of those situations, but when it was working well, it was so cool to see, and I ended up making friends that I stuck around with, and like, hey, hit me up next time you guys want to do this at reset, or things like that. And then being someone else's guide after building the confidence to like do an activity so much that you were worried that you were going to fail or something. I'm like, no dude, you're cool, like we're all learning, we all have our first, like that fun cycle of like, yeah, it's your first, oh shit, okay, let's do this, let's get your first dub on this. And then seeing the communal aspects of it too, there was so many moments of like viral, like, I don't know how to call it, but like when you just be like, oh, they're doing some cool new experience where it's like, we all need to do something. They're trying to have us decipher a code, or the chase for world's first on raids. I didn't participate, but I'd see people participate, and like watching it or even being around it was so fun, because then it became a kind of a conversation point in the community of Destiny. And then when those world's first would be done, many of the times it would change something about the world and the game. It was like, oh, now that it's been beaten, this changed. So you're like, oh shit, okay, they helped us, so now we can go do this and this. And like, there was nothing. I don't know. I know many games have tried to do their own versions of Destiny, and there's been so many like it. I mean, Diablo is such a live service game in its own right, but I don't think I have ever had any game that hit me the way this game hit, and had done so much of what it done with the story and with the game, with the connections and the memories I had. It felt often like bigger than what you were actively doing in that regard, and you could just chill in the tower and just take it in, and Zavala would be there, and Cade and Ikora, and just so many. Again, I'm not necessarily like, I wasn't playing it in the last year or two, so I can't say like, oh my god, I've been playing it and now it's done. I know many people have, but it is weird to see. Like, I don't think I would imagine a World of Warcraft coming to close, and I don't know if it would ever will, but that'll be a crazy day in the gaming world. And to know that there's not permanence but impermanence in games. But I always, like, there was always a safety net knowing, hey, if I wanted to go back, it's there. And now knowing that is more and more in jeopardy. It's being put in, again, in maintenance, but people can still play Destiny 1. But like, something about, when something's in maintenance, then it's no longer like, oh, you're queuing up for having people play, becomes more frustrating and challenging. And I guess when I'm reflecting, I'm not necessarily angry or cynical about the game. Like, this happens, sure, it's inevitable sometimes, but it's frustrating when you kind of like take a look back at like what led to it. I feel like, without going into the weeds of the drama of Bungie, and like, there's Marathon, there's Bungie, and there's Sony buying out Bungie at an enormous price, and then the leader of Bungie, Pete Parsons, and all this other, like, the numerous leaders, the journey this game has had over its course of like all the different leaders of the game and all the different purchases and it being independent, all this stuff. Ultimately, I gotta say, I'm just generally like, I feel like it always was a struggle of the leadership and the management of a team. And you see it so much in so many games, and I don't want to get on a soapbox about this, but when you see something like the way a studio is led, or the way it's misled, or the way a publisher leads or misleads, and then the demise of it is on the, like, that's the reason for the demise. That's what frustrates me. It's like, oh, if this game didn't fail because of its own, like, it wasn't hitting with players or this or that. It was mismanaged. It was poorly mismanaged. I think, is, in my eyes, I think that is the umbrella that catches everything else that occurred underneath. And all I can take out of that is just that I'm reflecting on like what it meant to me, what it has been. And like, we don't always realize we're documenting periods of our life through games, until they start to disappear, and you just take a moment to think back on it. And I that's one of what's ironic about that is so much of like my podcast, Save Point Stories, is about those connections we make and what they mean for us in games and what they do to shape who we are. And I think more than one game can shape who you are, obviously. More than one thing obviously shapes who you are, but this was very clear moment to remind me of like what this game did to shape who and what I've become as a person. And I don't know, I kind of wanted to reflect and also pose the question, I guess, to you, if this is a space for you to, not necessarily just for Destiny, but like, what has been or what is your game that is your space, that is your, hey, I come here. Hey, I come here with my friends. I come here by myself. I come here for whatever it is. And just whether it's hard, small, whether it's my safe space, whether it's my place of joy, we all have some version of that, and we share it. We can exist in it. But I think there's something powerful to be said about it. And it's important to just, I think, take a moment to recognize it and appreciate that it's what it has been, where it is in your life, and be like, this has been here for me. This is still here for me, or this was pivotal in a certain part of my life, and what that is. But I think I would strongly say I feel like everyone has at least one game that stopped feeling like a piece of software and started to feel like somewhere we were going or somewhere we could be. And yeah, yeah, I don't know. I definitely cherish my time with Destiny. I'm definitely gonna try and log in as like a last kind of goodbye sometime in the next month. Um, but yeah, please let me know what you think for your space and your game. Catch you on the next point.